What are some of your early memories of doing angles with JBL?
JBL is one of the funniest human beings I know.
Right.
And he's a businessman, just a great businessman. Has like some of the best stories, and just truly just a funny man. I remember I wasn't such a fan of his early on when he would go out and give those long interviews and stuff like that. But,
Right.
I mean, some of that stuff is just actually just golden. We would just sit backstage and listen to his interviews. And he would go out and work the crowd for like 10 minutes before his match. And we would just be dying in the back, just rolling around on the floor laughing. Because he was just picking everybody apart. And I remember, I can't remember, we were in like some border town in Texas. And JBL came to the ring wearing, it was me and JBL were tagging against Rey Mysterio and Bob Holly, if I'm not mistaken. And he came to the ring wearing a sombrero. He had a Mexican flag draped over his shoulders. He had jumper cables, a bottle of tequila, an inner tube around his waist, and he was pulling a donkey. And he looked at me and he said, tonight, he's like, if they hop the rails tonight, if we get a jumper, he hops in the ring, he's like, we just put our backs to each other and just make an example out of the first guy that gets in the ring. Just, take out the first guy, and usually that's enough to tell everybody else to stay back. We'll put our backs to each other and just fight our way out if we have to. We were really thinking that there was going to be some serious,
Right?
Because he was, he made some comment about how the guardrail was shorter than a fence, and that you should be able to hop over that guardrail. Come on, our security sucks. And
were you nervous at all?
No, I wasn't nervous. It was fun.
Right.
It was hilarious. And but I remember when he got in the ring, he dropped his flag on the mat, and as he got into the ring, he kind of stepped on it and twisted his foot.
Right.
And we got to the back, and Eddie was shaking, and he was so mad. He was like, "You don't understand, bro." He's like, "You do that in America, and people will laugh. People may boo you. Like, we take that shit very seriously. In Mexico, they'll kill you for that." Like, he was really, really pissed off about it. And you never saw Eddie get upset about anything. He was really upset about that. So, but JBL was awesome to work with, and then just the stories like on the road, on the bus, the way that he was just awesome to be around. A lot of guys say that he's a bully, and I just think that he's very passionate about this business and doesn't think that just anybody belongs. I remember there was a situation where they gave this guy, Brian Black, was on SmackDown as Palmer Cannon, the network executive or whatever for CW or the WB or whatever it was. And there was a situation overseas where I guess he was in the bar and a bunch of guys just kind of ganged up on him and were just harassing him and giving him a hard time. Why do you think you belong in this business? Why do you feel that you fit here? What do you have to offer? That kind of stuff. And he answered all the questions, and then in the morning he went upstairs and he packed his bags and he left his wrestling bag with all of his gear on the bed, and then he went down and he called a cab and called a cab to go to the airport. And I remember hearing the story that Ray was coming in. I don't know if Ray was coming home from the bars or whatever, but Ray was coming in, and as he was getting into the cab, and he was like, "What are you doing, man?" And he was like, "That's it. I'm out of here. See you later." And he shook Ray's hand. And Ray was like, "No, man." He's like, "Just rethink it. They're just giving you a hard time, man. They just bite your lip, stick through it. We're a family here. You got to get to know everybody. And you give guys a hard time sometimes. That's just the way that it goes." And he was like, "Nope, I'm out of here. I can't do that. I've had enough." And Ray said that, you know, it probably looked funny to the cabbie. Here's Ray. No, man, stay. You know, they probably thought they were gay lovers or something like that. But he left, and I remember a couple days later we were all standing around talking. And Chris said this, but this is the way that JBL. I'm saying this because I feel that this is the way that JBL thinks. And we were talking about it, and I remember saying that, well, you know, he's a nice guy, and he just didn't work out here. And Chris looked at me and said, my next door neighbor's a nice guy too. Doesn't mean that he belongs in our fucking ring or in our locker room. And you know, there is some truth to that. Wow. Not just anybody belongs. And I think that, you know, the bullying that JBL does, he's just having fun. And if you give it back to him, that's what he wants. He comes from the, you know, the old NFL where guys fucking rib each other.
Right.
You know, he told me that he tells a story of how he pissed off. He got into an argument with Lyle Alzado when he was playing for the Raiders. Pissed him off, and he went to the locker room and found up to the brim, the guys had taken turns pissing in his shoes and filled his shoes up with piss.
Right.
And so he went and poured them out, and he wore the shoes for like the next couple weeks. And the guys, in the end, knew, okay, well, our rib backfired on us because now it stinks to high heaven in here. And they asked him, will you please take those shoes and burn them? And, you know, just that's the era that he comes from. And I don't know. I never had a problem with JBL. And I always thought he was fair and a funny guy.